And hello and welcome to the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. My name is Jay Angel. I'm going to be your podcaster for this evening. Tonight I have one of my favorite guests, a man by the name of Frank Lepera. Frank is from Michigan. He's a very interesting man. This guy knows rods. You know, when I first started podcasting, I thought I knew about rods. Then I met a man by the name of Jim Grant from Grant Rods. And Frank is one of his, as far as I'm concerned, one of his top pro staffers, sells rods all over the Midwest. And for enough of that, without further ado, Frank, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How about you, Jay?
Oh, I'm doing great. And I forgot to say that Frank is from the great state of Michigan. What's so cool about Michigan, no matter what you like to fish for, it's there. I mean, yeah, you're not going to catch redfish, you're not going to catch tarpon, but they have stuff every bit as cool. Like Frank's favorite, smallmouth and largemouth bass.
Absolutely. And right now, our season into walleye on the Detroit River and St. Clair,
Oh,
and it's just phenomenal. It really is. It's a great time. And speaking of rods, one of the best rods you'd want to have is the Grant Rods All American, 5.5 foot, 6 foot, medium heavy action All American. And I'll tell you what, we get so many compliments for the guys that do walleye fishing. We own the Detroit River.
oh man, and you mentioned that they actually have a Detroit River series.
That's right.
I know my I know one of my good friends by the name of Sean Spar just got one of those, and he said he just loves it.
Yep. Yeah. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I'd like to meet him. Of course, I'd like to meet you someday too.
Sure.
And speaking of Grant rods, I have an XLH70 here with the carbon core. Remember you and I were talking about this before the show. I mean, this is like what I want to talk to you about is finesse fishing.
Sure.
This is a great segue into it. You know, with a rod like this, with the spinning, this is 7 foot medium action. The medium action is big enough to handle the 30-pound redfish that we could catch down here. Most of them are 5 pounds, but also it's sensitive enough that I can feel a small bite from a 13-inch trout with 100 feet at the end of a max cast, with wind going one way and the tide going the other way.
Yeah.
That's a difficult fishing situation there.
Well, it's a sensitivity that Jim puts in these rods that allows you to be able to do that. It's one of our best selling points on the sensitivity. Like I said, we get so many people that come into the booth at the shows and they tell us that, wow, what a difference on their catching. Their hookup ratio is more than anything because they can feel the bite better.
Yes. And what makes a rod? What the difference between a superior rod like a Grant rod and a not so superior rod is the balance of power and sensitivity. It's a fine line. That's where the art comes in of making rods.
Exactly. And it's the way he builds the rods. He's an engineer by trade. He designs the blanks, specs the materials, built at our factory, and we have quality control from start to finish that way.
It's just that's why I like when you say feel the difference, because I tell people, is it really worth the price? I'm like, well, you get what you pay for, just like a sports car. You know,
That's right.
if you pay $30,000 for a brand new car, you don't expect it to be a sports car.
No,
Well, it's the same thing with a rod. If you pay $30 for a rod, you don't expect it to be a Grant rod.
exactly. And I use the analogy a lot. You can catch fish with a broomstick, but how many are you
Yes.
missing?
Yes, and I didn't know, because as a young man, in the Air Force when I lived in Michigan, I used what I could afford.
Right.
I used what wasn't going to break because I couldn't afford to go out and buy another $30 rod when I was an E4 in the Air Force. I just couldn't. It was out of the question.
Yeah, for sure.
So I I used the rods that didn't break, the ugly sticks.
Yeah,
But you compromise. It has power, but you compromise sensitivity.
exactly.
And if you have braided superior, I use cigar line, and of course, a 20 pound leader when I fish the salt, fluoro leader.
Right.
with the braid and a Grant XLH70 like this with carbon core technology. I can feel the difference between an oyster shell and a bite from a small fish.
Exactly.
And if you with clamshells and zebra mussels, you have the same thing. So okay, let's talk finesse.
Okay.
My favorite type of fishing, of course, is finesse fishing. Of course, I love bass too. And when you're using something like this is a 5-inch. I actually like the 4-inch, but this is a Yum Dinger.
Yep.
I don't normally use Yum Dingers, but $5 for 25 of them at a sports show. I'm obsessed. You know that.
Yes. Aren't we all? You can
Yeah.
see behind me, right?
Oh yeah, you got your man cave, man. I live in a single wide trailer. I do not have a man cave. I have a man 4 inches. That would sound bad, didn't it?
Don't want to go there.
Don't want to go there. I wish I hadn't said that. But anyways, yeah. When you're finesse fishing, which is forward facing sonar has brought finesse fishing back into the forefront.
It has.
And that's what the guys are doing now. And I tell them, you're going to need to learn how to use a spinning rod. And a lot of them do. A lot of the really big bass pros, they know spinning rods, but also they know casting rods. But I said, you're going to have to learn how to use that. You're going to have to. And that's exactly what I do when I'm finesse fishing. I put my head down and put my finger on the line. I know people, don't put your finger on the line. Dude, I know you don't need that with a Grant rod because the rod transmits the thump.
It does.
But remember, for so many years, I had to use that ugly stick, so I just got used to that. So I sit there and
Some people still do. It's a old habit, and especially with the new rods, it's something that you don't have to do. And with forward imaging, which I'm actually installing on my boat now.
2 thumbs up, Frank. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes for me. I had a unit go bad, and so I had to upgrade, and I went to forward facing.
Frank got a new toy.
Yes.
Congratulations, man, on your new addition. But with the superior rod, it makes it so much easier because I get caught up in this, and then when you feel, a lot of times bass will try to take the rod right out of your hand, particularly smallmouth.
Mhm.
But sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just come up and back. And I want to know the difference between tink, tink, tink when they're just here. I'll illustrate this. This thing is floating down, and they just go.
And here's the thing, and because of the fishing pressure that's out there, they become a lot lower, a lot more line shy as well as bait shy. And so when you feel that little tick, you'll know when to set the hook. Otherwise, with something that isn't as sensitive, you're going to miss the bites.
Yes, yes, you brought up a good point between the little tick and the click. When I have actually felt it when a bass is biting, then it gets the hook in its mouth, and that feels just the slightest bit different.
Yes.
Because when you're using something like this,
Chatterbait,
yeah, you can tell when they grab that.
Right.
But when you're using a wacky rig or a small little subtle swim bait, like you use with like the favorite thing for the guy just won the Bassmaster Classic with.
Right. Yeah.
It was just a small little swim bait, the way I understand it. Because I have a friend who works for Pittman Creek, and he says we don't even have those yet.
I hate
Can you
that.
get me some? Because usually he can get me stuff before.
Yeah. Well, that Ned rig,
we don't even have that yet.
On a Ned rig, you're talking
Ned
about
rig? Yeah.
It's only 3.5, 4 inches long on a less than a 16th of an ounce jig head, and I'll tell you, I caught some really nice fish.
Yeah, but that's why you need such a good rod, because you're sitting there like this, the boat's going up and down at Lake St. Clair, or wherever you fish, because smallmouth bass usually they either live on flowing rivers
Right.
or big lakes. You don't find them in bayous I fish bayous, so there's probably nothing like that you bass fish up there. Well, maybe
Yes. Yeah.
canals in the
Actually, there is.
springtime. Canals
No,
in the
no, we
springtime.
have bayous on the west side of the state. We have bayous.
Oh, nice,
Often. Yeah. Yeah.
nice.
Did a lot of tournaments in those schoolhouse bayou. Oh yeah. Very, very good time there.
So yeah, when you're going through and you're doing this and you're trying to 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 detect a small bite, because that's a lot of times that's what they do in the swamps and the bayous. They're sitting there underneath big vegetation. It comes floating down. They know nothing else is going to grab that, so they just come up and mouth it.
Yeah, you're right.
And there's so much water. I mean, down here there's so much water. A lot of those bass have never seen. Of course, places like Toledo Bend or Lake St. Clair, they might have been caught 6 times already.
We have catch and release right now on a smallmouth bass here in Michigan.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't think people ate bass till I came down here, and people eat bass down here.
Oh, don't say that.
I know. It's a fight I'm not going to win, Frank.
I always say Tiger Woods doesn't eat his golf balls, and I'm not going to eat my bass.
Well, you have walleyes, you have yellow perch, you have crappies, you have bluegills, you have salmon, you have 6 different kinds of trout.
Yes.
And down here we have redfish, we have speckled trout, we have crappies, we have catfish up to 50 pounds.
Yep.
Oh, all kinds of good things to eat. So yes, I do eat fish, guys. I love to eat fish, but I just don't eat bass, and I don't eat speckled trout because I'm a fanatic.
1 second. I didn't anticipate using my phone for this, and I'm on 20%. I have to apologize, step away and get a cord and hook myself up to power.
Okay, you go get a cord, I'll talk.
Okay.
Guys, I just want to show you this. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of this. It's a Shimano Stratic and a Grant rod. And look what Jim Grant did for me, man. I hope you guys can see this. That's a picture of a redfish. And it said made especially for J Angel by Grant Rods. And one thing I like, I don't use anything but braid anymore except for my leaders, which are all fluoro. If I'm going to use a leader. But look at that rod guide. That is beautiful. Frank's going to be back momentarily. He didn't expect to have to use his laptop wasn't transmitting sound, or it wasn't his microphone wasn't working, so he had to use his phone. And also look, grantrods.com. Uh-oh. It happened to, okay, there you are. You're back.
Yep.
I was just showing that rod seating thing. Isn't that just the coolest design right there?
It is. Okay. Yeah, he has the stainless steel guides on his rods, which the braided line does not affect it whatsoever. I've had it for years on my rods, and I fish a lot of tournaments during the week.
You do.
I do, and on Sundays and that. But I haven't worn a groove in that thing yet, and I use braided line all the time.
When braided line first came out,
yes,
and you would have like eight different grooves in your rod guides.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't use Grant rods back there. I do want to make that perfectly clear right now. Yeah. So you have a big tournament coming up, don't you? Cash for Bass?
We do. Actually, we have what we call our Monster Quest. It's a 30th Monster Quest for Cash for Bass. There's and it's going to be huge. The payback is phenomenal. It's guaranteed $10,000 first place based on 75 boats. And Big Bass is a guaranteed $2,000, regardless of how many boats we have.
Nice.
It's also going to coincide with the Canadian Open. So, we'd be able to fish both sides, any connecting waters to Lake St. Clair, whether it's Huron or whatever, Lake St. Clair, Detroit River, wherever you want to fish. It's all open for this tournament. We've been doing the Monster Quest for 30 years on Lake St. Clair, and it's run by Terry Melvin, Brian Ballavander, and myself.
Okay.
It's Yeah, it's a great event, and like I said, there'll be food trucks there, and we're expecting, I believe, over 100 boats. I truly
Nice.
believe that. So yeah,
Nice. And what date's that going to be, Frank?
that is going to be on June 27th, and it's at the 9 Mile boat ramp. But here's the best thing: if you go to the cash, CASH, the number 4, and then BASS.com. There's all the information you're going to need to get into the event. You don't need a membership to get in. So, like I said, it's an open event for everybody. So that's why we're expecting a big crowd.
That's cash, the numeral 4, bass.com, guys.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, all the information is on our website.
Okay, and I have that scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I know your screen's very small since you're using your phone, but I just wanted to tell you that.
I can see it.
I put that on the bottom of the screen for you. It's CASH4
Yep.
bass.com.
Perfect.
Guys, go ahead and get that in. Go ahead and if you fish tournaments and anywhere near that, I mean, think about it. Go out to Lake St. Clair, fish. Is that going to be post spawn, Frank?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Spawn. They're going to be probably in transition from their spawning bays out to their summer feeding areas.
Well, they're going to be feeding up after the spawn is what that's going to be.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a terrific tournament. We feel that, like I said, you can't beat Lake St. Clair at that time of year. Trust me. Gets a little tough maybe in the summertime, but in the spring of the year, I'll tell you, it's lights out.
So when they're just getting off their beds, I know for largemouth bass, I like to use chuggers. Just because I like to use chuggers.
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
What would you use for smallmouth bass on the big water like St. Clair when they're just off their bed?
I'll tell you, I've had great success with drop shot at that time of year.
Sure.
And then tubes, please don't use tubes on Lake St. Clair, okay? I'm kidding.
You're just saying that because you compete.
Right. So tubes, drop shot, Ned rig, those are all good choices.
That's a little better.
Yes, it is.
Now I can see you. Okay. Yeah. And back in the late 90s, that's all we used that's all I used were tubes.
It's a lot of guys have shied away from them, but I'll tell you what, I've been using tubes for like forever. And even on the inland lakes, I've had great success with them.
Man, in Indiana, that's what the guys use for largemouth bass.
Yes, I do too here in inland lakes, tubes for largemouth. Absolutely.
In fact, I think it was 1997. I went to Port Clinton, Ohio, to fish as a writer to fish with PWT boys, and I went out for 3 days with them. And then the day before the tournament, Jim Kalkoff and their executive director came and he said, "Would you ever consider fishing for smallmouth bass? I have a guy by the name of Dave Maurice." I said, "From Venom Lures?" He goes, "Yeah, he's the owner. He'd like to take you fishing tomorrow." Yes. So I got to fish with Gary Roach, Tommy Scarless, Ted Takasaki, and Dave Maurice.
Oh, that's great. That's a
I
group.
came back. There was just no living with me. Hey, guess who I am? I'm better than you now. That was a great week. On Lake, we only got out on the lake for like 2 hours, and we caught like 16 smallmouths. Then we came back into the harbor because we got blown off the lake, and we caught another 16 right in the harbor.
Oh gosh.
And all on venom tubes.
Yep.
In color. And he came back and he called me and he said, "Okay, make an order." I ordered 200 tubes of that color. Then I went up to northern Wisconsin and I was fishing with a guide on the Flambeau River.
Okay.
And he was catching, a couple of smallmouth on Rapalas. Why are you using Rapalas, man? Here. And I showed him how to put a tube jig into a tube, and I gave him, a whole big stack of them. And the next year I went up there, and every tackle store in that area had venom tubes.
That's awesome.
Well, good lures catch on, just like good rods.
Exactly.
Because a rod is an integral part of the whole presentation, but you got to have lures. You have to know how to use those lures too.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know that. Oh, that's exciting when you pull up and all.
Yeah.
That's that thump right there. That's
an amazing feeling. And I tell people when I'm at the show selling the rods, I say it's like lightning when that fish hits. It's not like a normal bite. It's just like I can't explain it, but it's an automatic hook set because of it. It really is.
In fact, I had one of Grant's bait casting rods when I was fishing last weekend, or actually last week, and I was doing a jerk bait.
Uh-huh.
And the guy's like, "Man, you're not going to catch any fish on that." And I said, "Yeah, hold my beer and watch this."
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a big one, probably a 25-inch red, and it hit. And as soon as it hit, it made a big ruckus. Oh. Just to catch something like that on a jerk bait.
Yeah, they're fun to catch.
Caught a lot of big pike.
Yeah, redfish are like smallmouth on steroids, is what I call it.
Yes, and I've been throwing the Zero Spook for them for years, and have not caught one yet.
Really?
I actually tried last Thursday and didn't get a bite. Of course, the wind was whipping at 30 miles an hour, and
yeah, that doesn't help.
Most of them I catch using these. I really don't like these things, but they catch so many fish. That's a popping cork.
Okay.
I don't like using bobbers.
Right.
Because it just takes away. You can't feel the bite. You're sitting there and you're trying to keep, and the tide's taking you one way, and the wind's taking you the other way, and you're trying to work that popping cork. And then I didn't feel the bite. And usually when there's a 30-mile-an-hour wind, you have 20 feet of bow, 20 feet of bow.
Yep.
That's I caught most of my fish last weekend on live shrimp. I'm just not a live bait guy. No.
Even when I go walleye fishing here, I maybe when I'm bottom bouncing, I'll use a worm harness. But other than that, I'll use plastics.
That's just such a different mindset because you're like, okay, bite, take it.
Yeah.
Darn it, just lost another worm, Okay, sit on the other rod, bring it in.
Yeah.
I'd so much rather cast. And that's why I liked, in Illinois, most of the walleyes I caught were caught casting down riprap shorelines with like shad raps.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can feel the bite, and it's so much fun.
Yeah. Well, here we use in the river when we're jigging, we'll jig with a 3/4 ounce. I like 3/4 ounce. I get a better feel for it depending on who's in the boat with me. Sometimes I'll do 1 ounce because I have to match the way their line is in the water.
Yes, you don't tangle. Okay.
Right. Well, that, and I know how their line is acting because the most important thing is that line is straight down right next to the boat and not in front or back of you. Otherwise, you're going to get hung up.
Yes. On the Illinois River, it was like that. I fished the Detroit River twice, but that's it.
Yeah. And I grew up. I've been fishing the Detroit River since I was 4.
That's wow. That is so cool. I would just, I did. I almost got the first time I almost got divorced from the woman I had kids with was a dispute over. I did not want to leave Oscoda, Michigan. I had a tackle store that was going to hire me and teach me how to be a deckhand. And she's like, "So you don't want to go back to college because you want to work at a tackle store?" No. She just she shook her head. It's Oscoda, Michigan.
Yeah.
Yes, Saba River.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I just froze there for a second. But yeah, the Asaba River, Saginaw Bay.
Yeah.
I caught some smallmouths there one time on a small river coming off of that connected with Lake Huron.
Uh-huh.
And I told you the days of my 5-foot ugly stick light. And man, I mean that smallmouth was so big he tried to jump and just had to go back down because it was just too big to get his whole body out of the water.
I love that when they do that.
It's like, oh my gosh. My computer's trying to restart. I said, don't you dare. But yeah, I mean, and also I caught walleyes who were just out of control huge. I would call my dad and tell him about it. He's like, no, I'm going to have to call bullshit on that. Walleyes don't get me. Said, Dad, you go up to Canada. I catch fish that big in 5 miles away from where I live.
Yeah.
This thing must have been 13 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Well, it came out of Saginaw Bay.
Right.
Back in 1990, before you had 1,600 boats out there trying to grab them.
Right.
Remember back then, man, we got some big fish.
Yeah.
And nobody knew about it.
Yeah, same thing with the walleye. I mean, smallmouth, and way back when the lake levels were up so high, the largemouth it was just phenomenal. Smallmouth was fun, but some of those patches of eelgrass and curly cabbage would hold some giant largemouth.
Oh, I bet they did.
Yeah.
Man, broadleaf vegetation, yeah.
Yeah.
Cabbage. I remember going up to northern Wisconsin when I was a boy. Every time I saw cabbage, that meant pike. This was the 70s. We had, a 16-foot Crestliner with a 9.9 Elgin motor,
Yeah.
We were very limited in what we could do with that, but we still caught fish because there wasn't, when you got past Wausau in Wisconsin, it was all dirt roads, and we had a station wagon that we pulled around our boat with.
Yeah.
The 1970s,
Yep.
Just so much fun back then. So much fun. And I just remember going up there and feeling like I was a man because I got to go fishing with the guys. All of about 8 years old, Every time I caught a pike, it was a life-altering experience.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd fly into Canada for for trips like that.
But right in your backyard, you had better fishing than all of Canada.
That's true.
It's true.
But hey, we get to fly in with a Cessna or a Beaver. It was an experience.
Yes. Oh yeah, Canada was the whole experience. It was the journey up there. It was the journey back. It was trying to get through customs with your fishing rods.
300 fly bites from black flies.
Oh yeah, looked like you had the measles.
Yeah.
But still, it was just so much fun. It was some of my fondest memories of my childhood are that.
Yeah.
Going up to Canada or northern Wisconsin or northern Minnesota. Dad didn't even think about going to Michigan. In fact, the whole time I lived there, I think he came up there to fish with me one time. And he caught so many big fish.
It's crazy. The state of Michigan is so blessed with the fish that we have here, the smallmouth in Lake St. Clair, all the inland lakes we got some lakes here with 5-6 pound largemouth,
Yes.
and to be able, it's just amazing to be able to experience that,
I remember standing off the break wall in Oscoda, Michigan, and catching 8-pound walleyes. I remember standing off the break wall in Holland, Michigan, with one of my best friends from high school and catching 11-pound walleyes. My first cast, I'm like, I'm snagged. He's like, dude, no, you're not. It's 26 feet deep here. Every day of the summer, I'm going out to catch salmon. It's 26. Oh oh my God, that's a fish. I mean, I
Yeah.
threw that big husky jerk out there and cranked it twice, and it won't move. That's a
Yeah.
big fish that you grab onto him and he won't move.
Yeah.
That's a big, arrogant fish, which is how I like him.
When I duck hunt, we had a 2-man layout boat, Kalish, and and then we had a catch boat to go back and forth. And between there and the steel hull, well, the guys in the steel hull, while we were waiting for our turn into the layout boat, we'd be fishing for walleye and perch
Wow.
at the same time. So it's a great experience.
I would pay big bucks for that. You go duck hunting and walleye fishing at the
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And perch too. Guys, in Lake St. Clair, I was there in 1989, 1990. I was an air traffic controller at Selfridge Air National Guard Base as an Air Force member. And in the wintertime, we'd go out there right around the base and just, we'd park our trucks, walk down a quarter mile and just drill a random hole in the ice. We didn't have any equipment.
Yep.
And just drop it down. Got one. And we'd have, we're talking 10-inch perch.
Well, I've fished seriously on Anchor Bay, and I was catching 14-inch perch along with 15-inch walleye out of the same hole at the same time.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we were just a bunch of 20-year-olds, that didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
Drilling random holes and catching those kind of perch.
Yep.
There's 4 guys fishing here. Well, I'll just be the 5th. And we didn't know any better. We were just kids, But yeah, if I had a boat, actually in St. Joe, Michigan, I used to catch the 13, 14-inch. And that was just on the break wall, standing there with a cane pole.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting shoulder to shoulder with I used to call that Michigan fishing. If you've never done that, I'm sure you've seen people do it.
I have.
If there's 3 feet between 2 guys, I'm there.
Yeah.
And I fish for salmon that way. I fish for steelhead that way. I fish for perch that way. All in Michigan.
Yeah.
I fish for reds here all winter long. I fish for reds and specks that way, and everybody catches fish. And that's the thing about Michigan too. There were that many people there, and everybody was walking out. This was back in the 80s, guys. So don't shoot me, but everybody was walking out with buckets full of perch.
Yeah. It's dropped off on the perch a little bit, but I'll tell you, because of the poor ice conditions that we've had for the past 2-3 years, it seems like the perch are actually bigger than what they have been.
Well, yeah, they're not getting pulled out right before their spawning season. Yeah.
Right.
Because, I was one of those crazy guys who'd be out there on rotting ice.
Oh, really?
Well, now I live down south, and we don't know what ice is except when we put it in our mixed drinks. But, yeah. I was one of those, when I was in my 20s, I was one of those crazy guys who would walk out on the ice and, you're sitting there in your hole and then you turn around and the ice is doing this.
Yeah. Been there.
Oh, yeah. Hey, why don't you do some shout outs? Why don't you do some thank yous? I'd like to do one thank you, and the thank you is to Grant Rods for just supporting my show since the very beginning. And Jim, you make the best rods in the world, and I hope you keep doing it for another 50 years, dude.
I do too. Yeah, I'd like to shout out to DNR Sports, Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's owned by Randy Van Dam. That's KVD's brother. Yeah. A great place for fishing baits, lures. They have the latest equipment for the time.
Frank just
really.
Do the last one over. You froze.
DNR Sports in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
And you did that?
It's owned by Randy Van Dam. That's KVD's brother, and they have the latest equipment and the new techniques that everybody's trying to fish now. They have a great selection of boats. I have the 22 TRX Triton. And if you want a good deal, talk to Miles Hanley. He's a super guy. Mercury Motors, have great success with them. I had a ton of hours on my motors. Also like to shout out to Rec Lending for boat loans and insurance. And it's one of our major sponsors for Cash for Bass tournaments. They sponsor us on Mondays, Thursdays, Lake St. Clair Saturday and Sunday series, and it's a cash payout. You don't have to catch a fish. It's on a drawing, and it's $100 on the weekend tournaments on Lake St. Clair and $50 on Mondays and Thursday nights. River Rock Baits. Now, guys out there, if you're looking for a bait and you can't find it anymore, I'm talking plastics, you want to call uh, River Rock Baits. They're in Waynesboro, Virginia. And you want to talk to Robert, he'll definitely make what you need. Seriously, no matter what color. Matter of fact, I have some up here from him that I use regularly for my smallmouth bass. And of course, Grant Rods. He's been in business for 43 years, made in the United States, and you got a lifetime warranty. But I also want to bring attention to the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame in Hayward, Wisconsin. If you haven't gone, I highly recommend it, guys. It's an amazing place to go to. I took my granddaughter there when she was 5 years old, and she had a terrific time. And I'm talking about going through and seeing all the people that have actually dedicated themselves to the sport and brought so much to us as fishermen, the lures, the techniques, the shows that we watch on the weekends. And a big thanks to Emmett Brown, the executive director at the hall. He's there every day when that place is open, to greet people to come in there. And it's a fantastic place to go to. And again, for Jim Grant, he supports the hall. He donates rods for drawings, and buy some tickets online, and it helps continue the support for the hall. And also want to give a shout out to some of the people that are helping us on the Monster Quest on Lake St. Clair, if it's okay with you.
It's okay. Yes.
It's the city of St. Clair Shores, the TIFA, and the city council for allowing us to hold the event at the 9 Mile boat ramp, and Nautical Mile Merchants for their support. Let's face it, if it wasn't for the sponsors like them, we would not be able to have such a great event.
True. Very, very true. And Frank, I'd like to do a shout out to you. I've had you on probably 5 times now, and you've always knocked it right out of the park, man. I can't do this. Just like you said about the sponsors, I can't do this show without people like you.
I appreciate that. I have a great time doing it, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I was able to give some advice and help them in their quest for catching more fish and bigger fish.
Okay, one last question before we stop. Go
Sure.
to bait for you for smallmouth bass, just your confidence lure on Lake St. Clair.
I want to say my tube.
Your tube, okay. I agree. I love tubes. You stupid tube them, or do you stupid rig them, or do you put a tube jig in them?
I put a tube jig in them,
Oh,
and I've caught some really nice fish.
yeah.
And then second would be the drop shot.
Oh, okay. I would think the Ned rig, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've done really well with big fish on drop shot.
I just don't have much confidence because I haven't caught the thousands of fish I've caught with other rigs.
Well, fortunately for me, I get a lot of practice up here.
You do. In fact, when I went out with Mike Norris, we Ned rigged, and Green Lake, Mike Norris, we caught fish all July. We caught fish all day long.
Yeah, I had a on Lake St. Clair. I was late in the year, October, November, and I took a friend of mine out, and we smacked the heck out of him on Ned rigs on Lake St. Clair over on the Canadian side.
Okay, well, with that, I got to end the show, guys. We're like 4 minutes over, so thank you very much. Stick around. I'm going to end the podcast. I need to talk to you for 2 minutes afterwards.
Okay.
And guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Let's Talk Fishing podcast.